Hi guys, my name is Leah. I am doing a pre-recorded live coding session because I've always wanted to do one of these and I thought it would be a great way to start. So what we're going to be doing is coding a job board app using React, Node and Express, and we're probably also going to rig it with TypeScript so that we can provide a lot of type declaration and sort of avoid a lot of the errors that sort of creep up when you're not quite aware about what types you're really working with. So this is totally unadulterated, unedited content. Let's dive right into it. So you can see here we're looking at my terminal where we're in the directory of job board app. But for any users who are really new, don't know how to work with GitHub or its CLI, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So go ahead and go to cli.github and follow the instructions to be able to install it and be able to do version control and create your own repositories to contain all of your code. So you'll see that this is my GitHub, at least my homepage of my GitHub. You can come here to really see exactly what it's showcasing about a particular user. Here you can see my introduction, a little photo which was generated with Midjourney, and something to make everything look a bit interesting, and a very interesting chart over here that's going to let people know how active you really are as a developer. So GitHub CLI is going to allow us to communicate with all of this directly from our computer and not have to spend too much time directly in the GitHub portal. So let's assume you've done all of that. To get started really with a React Node type application, there's a bit of manual setup that we're going to do. So we're going to go straight there and do that. You can see I've created a directory here called job board. If you don't really know what to do, perhaps I'll make another video regarding terminal and how to work with CLI or how to make a directory or CD into a directory and so on. But right now we are going to go ahead and create our client folder and our server folder. So here I'm going to go, take that cap locks off, make directory, and we're going to say client. Then we're gonna also make a directory of server. And then we can say ls to list, and we can see that we have client and server folders within our job app folders. So in this video, we're really going to just look at the architecture of an application like this and probably cap it at that. And in my next video, we'll get to creating a server, creating our routes, downloading React, rigging it with TypeScript, and so on and so forth. So let's start with talking about the server side. We're going to CD into the server, and we're going to start creating all of the folders that are required typically in a standard backend application, at least at this point. So all backend apps are going to have a type of index.js, but in order to create that file, we're going to say touch. So touch index.js will show that we have this index file that's existing over there. Also, let's get rid of this profile page at the back here because it's going to be a bit distracting. Let's sit with that for now. Now, in our server, we've made the index, and the index is essentially going to create instructions to create the server. But in the index file, you're also going to want to pull all of the other aspects of the server that you need to work with, which we're going to create now. So let's think about that. We are going to create a couple of folders that contain the architecture of the backend. So we're going to make a directory. We're going to call it routes. Routes is going to contain everything that has to do with providing endpoints for what to do when you want to get all jobs or when you want to post a job or so on and so forth. Let's now create a new directory. We'll call this models. Models define really what you're working with. So a job, what is a job in the scope of an application, or at least this job board app? A job is going to have certain criteria. It's going to have certain things that you're going to need to take into account, like the job ID, the job title, the job description, the user who posted that job, and so forth. So that's where we're going to put all of our sort of models of each component that comprises the information that we're going to be saving on our backend. So let's move to the next thing. Let's make a new directory, and in this directory we are going to call our middleware. Middleware we're going to use for things like login tokens or security related code, and we'll place it here in this file called middleware that we will probably call into other components of our application. So the next thing we really need to look at, let's see, we have models, we have middleware, we have our roots, we have our index file. Let's take a look and see what's happening within our server. So that's not bad, but I think we are probably missing a couple of things. We're probably going to want to detect what environment we are in. So we're going to go ahead and make another directory, and we're going to call this config, just so that in case when we get to that part, we have a place to put all of this type of maybe environment work that we're gonna do. So let's take a look at what our server folder currently looks like, and it looks okay. So now let's get out of the server file and let's take a moment to talk about the client file, which is going to be quite a quick talk. So now we're in the client file. However, over here there's not much setup that we're going to do, because we're going to use a front-end library, and we're going to work with something called React. You'll see it's red there because GitHub CLI doesn't have a command that starts with React. But what we would normally do to install React on the front end is npm install React. No, that's not the right thing. Sorry, I'm being crazy. Npx create React app. So if we do that, we'll be taken through the instructions to be able to install the React app, and it's going to ask us a couple of questions. But once that's done, basically you'll have a React front end that's already working, that's going to load up in our browser, which is pretty nifty, because if you're a beginner, you'll be able to already start looking around at how they're calling components, or how they're importing images, how they're running animations, or what they're doing to work with CSS. And for now, I think that's really all we're going to do for this video. I want to keep them pretty short, pretty easy. Maybe the last thing I'd like to show you, if you don't have the editor installed, try look at Sublime if you're really new, but Sublime is quite irritating. So I would go ahead and install VS Code. Once you've done that, in fact, let's go quick take a look at VS Code. You can come over here and click download and get VS Code, and that'll be a great tool for you to be able to work in a very friendly environment, and something that you can customize to really work for your needs. But once that's installed, all you got to do is say code dot in the directory that you're working in, and you'll see that VS Code is going to pop up. Give it a moment. So here is the directory, job board app. We have our client and our server. We have made a couple of files in our server side, and you can see here's a config, here's a middleware, our models and our roots, and index. A lot of people who use the model view controller aspect, design pattern, they're going to work also probably with a controller file. I think though that for this case it'll be safe for us to just proceed without having a dedicated controller folder. There is a benefit to being able to include controller folders, is because you could separate sections of your code that ultimately provide better security. So that's up to you. You've got to scope out what's the needs of your application. For the use case of this job app, where we predominantly are going to focus on users who can post a job and users who can apply to that job, it will be fairly transparent and open. It's not going to be entirely necessary for me to worry too strictly on all the security, but security will be a pretty big factor to this video and the coming videos to be uploaded. So yeah, that's it for now. Thanks so much for paying attention, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.